In 1930s Alabama, Scout and Jem Finch realized that the world is truly filled with bias and prejudice. How? Let's read To Kill a Mockingbird and find out. Welcome back to BG's Books. I'm Mr. BG, and today I will be reviewing To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. So, first of all, I just want to get it out of the way. I have a new setup! Hooray! Yeah, so anyway, this is my new setup. Please do let me know what you think about it, because I'm loving it. And, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it too. But anyway, so back to Kill a Mockingbird. It is, of course, I'm sure you're already aware of this, it is a very classic book about racism and prejudice in 1930s Alabama. It was published in 1960, and all these years later, it is still very much prevalent today, and it is still very much a classic, and including to me. I love this book so much. I actually, similar to other books that I have reviewed this year, this is a second time reading this book. I read it for the first time back in 10th grade, in high school, as part of my required reading. But, of course, I didn't do book reviews back then, so I decided to give it another read, and I'm reviewing it now. And, yeah, as I said, this is just such a phenomenal book. It is so great and everything. Harper Lee, this was like her debut novel, and what a debut it is. Like, this is just absolutely fantastic. But, yeah, anyway, it follows two kids named Scout and Jem as they discover how prejudiced the world really is, and maybe, hopefully, they can try to stop that prejudiceness, or prejudice-y, or whatever the actual term is. But anyway, yeah, so I guess the only way I can explain it more is to get into the actual plot of what To Kill a Mockingbird is about. So, let's go do that. So, To Kill a Mockingbird actually takes place over the course of about 3 years or so, and this will be important in a second. But, so this one summer, siblings Jem and Scout, Jem is the older brother and Scout is the younger sister. Her real name is Jean Louise Finch, but she goes by Scout for whatever reason. And so one day they're just kind of hanging out in the summer when they meet one of their neighbors' nephews, actually. His name is Dill. That's actually his nickname. I don't remember his real name because it was only mentioned once at the very beginning of the book. And basically he will be staying with his aunt every summer from now on. So they kind of get acquainted, they become best friends. But Jem has really wanted to mess with this guy named Boo Radley. He's this guy, he's like one of their neighbors. He like never leaves his house, ever. Sorry if you hear that, that's a fan. Anyway, so basically, he never leaves his house. He's kind of a recluse. No one knows what he looks like. He hasn't left his house in years and stuff. And so Jem just really wants him to come out of his house. So they just mess with him. Like, one day, Jem leaves a note on his door saying, Boo, we would love it if you could come out and talk to us and whatever. And, yeah. But anyway, so Jem and Scout have a dad named Atticus who is like a big shot lawyer. He's like the most respectable lawyer in all of Macomb, which is their town. And they also have a servant working for them named Calpurnia, and she's a black woman in 1930s Alabama. So, of course, that would be, like your slavery or your, like, segregation or whatever. But, I don't know, she's happy to work for them. They're super nice to her, and she's super nice to them. So, you don't have to worry about her well-being. Anyway, so, yeah, life goes on. Summer ends. Dill goes back home to Meridian, where he's actually from. And then Jem and Scout go to school. Jem goes to, I think it's like 4th grade or something, and then Scout starts 1st grade for the very first time. She's never been to school before. But during the school year, she starts getting teased by other kids because of her dad's being a lawyer. And basically they say that her dad is a black person lover, Well, I'm not going to say the actual term that they say because that is very racist. I guess I'm going to get this out of the way. This has a lot of like racism and like a lot of depressing stuff in there, so I'm going to give you a little warning. I should have done that earlier, but I didn't think about it. I'm sorry, that one's on me, but there's a lot of upsetting stuff in here. So don't proceed if you don't feel like it, but if you feel free to proceed, then keep watching. Anyway, so Scout is kind of made fun of for her dad being a friend of black people, which, of course, being in 1930s Alabama, is not exactly the social norm at the moment. And basically, he's been hired to defend this one guy in court named Tom Robinson. And Tom Robinson was accused of raping this one woman named Mayella Ewell, the daughter of this just terrible guy, Bob Ewell. And so basically, you know, a couple summers more go by. I don't know, stuff just kind of happens. This is really kind of the slowest part of the book. It's just kind of the summer in between the first one and then the last one or the third one. Anyway, basically what happens is that, you know, skipping ahead a long time, it's time for the big trial. And so Tom Robinson is set before the courts. And basically what happened was that Mayella Ewell, this is her testimony, that she wanted him to come fix something. And then while he was fixing something, he decided to come on to her. And so she had to, like, kind of fight back and get him away. And so her father came in as he was running away, and then they kind of went things from there. So then Tom Robinson goes onto the stand, and keep in mind his left arm is like visibly shorter than the right arm, and that's going to be important in a second. Basically, they're alleging that as Mayella was getting raped, Tom Robinson struck her on the right side of her face, and, you know, without going like a cross hook or something like that, it would have to be with the left hand. And of course, because his left arm is like quite a bit shorter than his right arm, that doesn't exactly make a lot of sense now, does it? So basically, it's very obvious that Tom Robinson was just there. Basically, what his thing was is that he was just walking by the house. She wanted him to help her fix something, so like what Mayella said. But instead of him coming on to her, she was coming on to him, and so he kind of had to, you know, push her back a little bit to stop. And then that's when Bob Ewell came home, and then he ran away because, you know, he's going to be framed for that and whatever. Anyway, so it's very obvious that Tom Robinson did not actually hit Mayella. It was actually Bob Ewell that hit her in order to frame Tom Robinson. And it's very clear about this. Atticus made it very clear about this. But of course, the jury are all white men. So of course, in a time of segregation, they are unfortunately going to claim that the defendant, Tom Robinson, is guilty. So he's guilty and he's put into jail. So anyway, in the meantime, Atticus is planning on having an appeal case, which is something that you can do in court cases. But unfortunately, Tom Robinson was caught trying to escape the jail, so he is shot and killed. So, unfortunately, there's that. So, the Ballad of Tom Robinson, I guess you could say, is over. So, yeah, that was the summer. Dill goes back home. Everyone's kind of sad because, as I said, it was very clear that Tom Robinson was very much innocent, and Mayella and Bob were very in the wrong. But, so anyway, yeah, school starts back up again, and for October, to kind of lift up the spirits of Maycomb, the school decides to put on a little, like, October play. And so, yeah, so they do that. And then while Jem and Scout are walking home, Bob Ewell has just been really mad that Atticus made him look like a chump in court because, you know, he was throwing all these accusations at him. So he decides to get back at Atticus by attacking Jem and Scout. And so Jem falls, breaks his arm, youch, and long story short, he dies. And we'll reveal that in a second. Basically, everything's okay. Jem is going to be unconscious for the meantime, but he's perfectly fine. He's safe. He's alive. But we have someone else in the Finch household that we did not know of, and it is Boo Radley himself. Yeah, so basically what happened is that Boo Radley kind of heard the commotion when Bob was trying to attack the children and grabbed Bob's knife and then killed Bob. And then the town basically decides that because Bob was just kind of a jerk anyway, he was just kind of getting into trouble for whatever reason, that they're just going to make it seem like he fell on his knife wall because he was very drunk. So there you go. So then Finch walks Boo Radley home. She never sees him again, but they now have a solid understanding of each other. And then Scout goes home to where presumably her life will go back to normal. But that is how To Kill a Mockingbird ends. Alright, so obviously you guys already kind of know my thoughts already because I already spoiled it. But To Kill a Mockingbird is just a fantastic book. It's still very relevant 65 years later. Wow, it's hard to believe it's been 65 years already. Anyway, just its themes of racism and prejudice and not judging people just by how they look are still very prevalent today and everything. And so, yeah, for that, it is just a classic. It will be around forever. And yeah, I love it. And I'm sure a lot of other people do as well. But so now let's get to something that is not widely known. Why is it called To Kill a Mockingbird if I didn't mention anything about a mockingbird in there? Well, on page 90 or so, there is a thing saying that mockingbirds don't do anything but just make nice music for other people to enjoy. And so if you kill one, it is a sin because you're basically just taking something out of the world that didn't do anything to deserve it. And so that's kind of the metaphor for this book. It's like Tom Robinson didn't actually do anything to Mayella. He was just trying to be nice, but because the family that accused him are white and he was black, he got accused even though he did nothing. And same with Boo Radley. They want him to come out of the house, but all he's just doing is just minding his own business, not hurting anyone. So if they make him come out, that's like killing a mockingbird in a way. So really, To Kill a Mockingbird, the title isn't like a book about trying to hunt down a mockingbird, which is what I initially thought before I read it. Because I heard that it was a banned book. I'm like, why is a book about killing a mockingbird banned? Turns out it's not even about a mockingbird. It's just a metaphor for leave people alone unless they have a reason to not be left alone. And that's basically the whole moral of this story. It's like people are just trying to get by doing whatever they do. And so unless they do something that wrongs you or wrongs society, don't do anything to them because they're just human just like you. And so I think that's a very important message. And there's also another message of learning about other people's histories by interacting with them. Because remember, in Maycomb, there's a lot of walks of life. Well, because like the Ewells, they're kind of a white trash, I guess you could say. They're kind of looked down upon. Boo Radley, he's very mysterious. The Finches, they're looked up upon because Atticus is like a big shot lawyer and all that. So basically, the two main messages are leave people alone unless they have a reason not to be left alone, and don't judge someone before you walk a mile in their shoes. I know that's like the most cliched message ever, but it really worked for To Kill a Mockingbird. And as I said, it is just a phenomenal book. Harper Lee did absolutely incredible telling that message. And yeah, I also do want to mention that there's apparently a sequel to Kill a Mockingbird. It was released in 2015, also known as the year before Harper Lee died, and it is called Go Set a Watchman. But the thing about it is that I've heard that Go Set a Watchman is supposed to be like a published version of the original manuscript for To Kill a Mockingbird, because To Kill a Mockingbird was apparently like very different from the one that we actually got. I think her literary agent or editor just like read it and was like, maybe this book would benefit being told from a children's perspective instead. And so she kind of went back and rewrote the book that we all love. But so Go Set a Watchman is kind of like a sequel that takes place like after Scout gets home from college, I think. And then it kind of backpedals on the anti-racism message of the first one that's saying maybe Atticus wasn't all that anti-racist at all. I don't know. This is just what I've heard, but that doesn't sound that interesting. But of course, if you guys want to see me go review Go Set a Watchman, I will do that, of course. You know, I love reviewing books for you guys. Oh. Okay, that was like a butterfly or moth or whatever. Anyway, so yeah, and then they also released another Harper Lee book this year, which I imagine she probably wrote years ago before she passed. I don't remember what it's called, but I think it's a short story collection. So let me know if you guys are interested in that as well. But anyway, yeah. Please go read To Kill a Mockingbird. You will not be disappointed, and you'll not be sorry either. But yeah, guys, that is it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. As I said, it is just such a phenomenal book. And if you have not read it yet for some reason, you need to go fix that right now. It is an incredible book, and you will not be sorry. You will be glad you read this incredible little piece of work. But yeah, as you may notice, I did not stand in front of my green screen today. That is because with this new setup, my green screen, which is usually in this area, kind of had to be moved and whatever. So I'm gonna put it back up eventually, but I can't do that right now. Some stuff is in the way. I gotta move some things. But anyway, so yeah. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below if you have not already. And please let me know what other books you would want me to review in the future, because I would love to get any more suggestions, like Go Set a Watchman and that other one I mentioned from Harper Lee. Or it doesn't even have to be Harper Lee. You could just mention any book that I have not reviewed yet altogether. I love reading your comments for that. But yeah, that is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I've been Mr. BG, and this has been BG's Books, and I will see you guys in the next video.